Hello, everyone. How are we today? So I have a question. How many of you out there have heard of, it's a small game, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth? Perfect, so we're in the right place. We have an amazing panel for you today. My name is Briana Valencia, and I am joined by wonderful voice talent from these amazing games. Please get up for Britt, Suzie Yeung, and Briana White. Hello, everyone. How are we doing?
Hi.
Hi.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
We are here at PAX West, and I wanted to kind of open this conversation with, how has the PAX experience been for you all so far?
I think it's our first time in Seattle in general, right?
Yes.
And PAX, so this has
First PAX
been
West.
amazing for us. So thank you so much.
And then did you grow up coming to conventions, or for all of you, has it been like a newer experience in the last few years, especially with this game?
My first convention was PAX East, actually, where I met Britt. We hadn't even met until PAX East in 2020, right before everything ended.
About a week before the whole world shut down.
You also already had a badge, like pre-Final Fantasy, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I go to gaming conventions all the time as a content creator and a streamer, so PAX is super, super cool for that reason, and I was going to go to PAX East regardless, but yeah, it was really extra special to go with Square Enix in 2020.
Yeah, but that kind of set the convention world off for me on a really high note. But I still feel like I'm fairly new to all of this.
Mm-hmm. Right. I was going to say, I feel like that's also what makes the convention setting very special, because like with voice acting and even with video games, it's a lot of, you in a booth doing your thing. There's not many opportunities to kind of meet your fellow cast. And I feel like that is a great opportunity for you to finally like get together with each other. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It's a little strange, though, that we don't meet until a convention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, can I at least
It's
know?
a very special time because we don't often get to come together like this. We've gotten together maybe 3 times total over the course of
Years.
Literally years. So us just being here together is very special to all of us. So.
Mm-hmm. I would love to start the conversation about Final Fantasy with just how has your experience been being a part of this beloved franchise?
A dream come true.
Truly.
I would say, Final Fantasy was the first project that I ever auditioned and booked for when I came to LA to start my voiceover career. So it's literally changed my life, especially because I grew up playing Final Fantasy. So I was already a fan of it prior, and to be a part of this world in a big way has been such a privilege for me.
I also played a lot of Final Fantasy before Final Fantasy VII Remake came across my desk. And Final Fantasy XIV, if any of you are fans of that game, I've played about 2,000 hours of that game. Unfortunately, it's very addicting. Red Mage main, by the way. So I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, loved 15, and then I got the audition for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I thought, this is such a huge project. They're going to go with someone super mega experienced and talented and famous, and there's no way I'm going to book it, so I'm just going to have fun in the audition. And then when I did book it, I really felt like the world just stopped spinning for a minute, because it didn't feel real that I could be involved in a project this cool. So really, really incredible.
Yeah, I think it's obviously been a role in a project of a lifetime. I think going into Remake, it was really scary because so many people grew up playing the original, and everyone has a different idea of how each character should sound and how the story should be. And so I think I was pretty intimidated, and you really want to make everyone happy, but I think after the first game came out, it was such a relief because getting to meet everyone and hearing the feedback and hearing what the game means to people on a personal level has been just so rewarding, and I think the fan base in general has been so welcoming. So I feel really fortunate to be a part of this game.
And could you maybe talk about how you became involved in the project? I know it most likely obviously started with an audition, but in regard to that, did someone reach out to you? Did you see the casting posted somewhere? Can you maybe speak a little bit more to how you became involved?
I mean, as for me, I just got an email asking me to audition for this super top secret project. And I think there was just something in there that made me go, this wouldn't be that super anticipated project that got announced with one tiny little teaser trailer 4 years ago, right? And it was. So yeah, I just got the audition in an email through my agent, and yeah, I was super excited about it instantly, but everything was very top secret from the very beginning.
I had a different experience because Remake had already come out, so I already knew what it was. I saw my friends play through the game. I was like, wow, it would be really cool if I could be maybe a cat in this game or something. That would be super awesome, right?
Anything.
And so when I got the email and then I saw that it was Yuffie, I was like, I know exactly who this is. I know exactly what this is. So I got really excited about it. So it was no secret for me when I got that email. I also just realized, did we not introduce ourselves as our characters yet? Who are anyone who doesn't know, who are we? Who are we actually?
I'm Cloud.
It's very
Thank
obvious.
you for coming, Cloud. Cody Christian himself.
Here I am.
So who are you?
I am Tifa.
I'm Suzie, and I play Yuffie.
Hi, I'm Briana White, and I'm the voice of Aerith.
Okay, you know who we are now.
Carry on.
I auditioned for the remake like any other game. Voiceover auditions come at a pretty high volume in comparison to TV or film stuff. So it was kind of I've been in LA now for 11 years, so I do think I have grown sort of a thick skin in terms of auditioning, where you just kind of let it go for the most part. So I think I went in I got it through my agent, didn't think much of it, got a call back, and then didn't hear anything for 3 months maybe, and by that time had totally forgotten about it. And I think I had auditioned for a non-player character. So when my agent called and told me I booked Final Fantasy VII, I was like, great. I didn't realize it was Tifa. I was like, why is he calling me? And then afterwards, obviously, the realization came. But once we got cast, I might have been the last, because it was really quick. They were like, we need you in tomorrow because we're trying to get this trailer out. And so once that happened, it was really off to the races. But yeah, it's you can't really get attached to the auditioning process if anyone is an actor in here as well. Otherwise, you'll never survive emotionally. So.
And this next question, I would love to kind of maybe get a little bit more insight into the recording process, which is, I know specifically for voiceover work with dubbing, you get to record to picture. But with video games, especially with video games that are in development, a lot of the times it can just be a script. Would you say that was your experience? And if so, were there any points throughout, your time recording where maybe you did get to see picture or a final piece before it was released?
We definitely don't get to see the final picture before it's released. Sometimes we'll get visuals, sometimes not. It kind of depends how necessary it is. So their philosophy, I feel, has always been to give us exactly what we need to give the performance that is best, and then to not give us anything further. So we definitely don't get a script ahead of time. We get a call and we say, hey, are you free on this date? We go in and the script is on the monitor for us, and if we need context for that scene because it's very emotional or there's lots of history behind why this character is asking about this, they give us that information. But if we don't, because it's a side quest and we're collecting seashells, they'll say, it's a side quest and you're collecting seashells. So if we need a picture, because sometimes there's like a very aggressive body movement, like Costa del Sol, right? So like that, you need kind of like that context. So sometimes we'll get that, but sometimes we don't. So it's a very collaborative process.
I will say so each time we do go off the Japanese audio to give some sort of sense of like, okay, what's the emotional level here? How big should I go? And then if we don't really understand what's going on, then our director, Kirk Thornton, he'll go back and forth with the client and ask, explain to us what's going on here so that we have what we need to perform the scene.
But for the most part, we're going line by line. So, and I think script is a very generous word because we're mostly just looking at an Excel document with like the one line with no context. So you're often getting it verbally if you need it, but it's a really interesting, like kind of a slow process, I would say. It's not like we get a big script to read the night before or a month before. And oftentimes we're recording out of order and jumping in and out of scenes. So once we finish, I'm like, what even is this game? I won't know until it comes out. It's not like a movie where you read it start to finish. So we really rely on our director to kind of guide us through each moment, because oftentimes I don't even know what line came before or after my own. Once in a while we get to do the script, and if like Brie already recorded, they'll play her lines for me, and I can kind of play off of that. But that is not the norm.
No, it's not frequent, and it depends which one of us goes in first.
I know, sometimes I'm like, shoot, I'm going first.
You guys get recordings played back to you? Kirk is like, just go. You can figure it out.
I will say for Aerith and Tifa, they say a lot of lines in unison.
Together, yeah.
They say a lot of lines like, okay, or you jerk.
Makes sense.
Or another word besides that. You jerk. So things like that we kind of have to record. It's very detailed. It has to sound like we're saying it kind of at the same time, but they can't sound too similar or it'll sound like there's an echo rather than two people are speaking.
We're like in harmony.
In harmony.
I'll take the alto.
Exactly.
And also the timing, because Japanese, I think that's a lot of why they play the Japanese reference always for us. It's so specific, the timing, that our lines in English have to fit. It's like down to the millisecond. So that also is what I think makes it such a slow process. Sometimes they're like, you need to speed that up by half a second. So it's really detailed work, but I think after Final Fantasy VII, going into any other game seems like easy breezy, work.
Yes, agree.
You all already kind of maybe answered this question, but I guess to expand on it more, because this was something that I was thinking about, was the preparation specifically with like video games. Because again, with voiceover work, with something like an anime, for example, you have manga that you can reference to kind of know what's coming in the story if you choose to like look into that. But with video games, as you all kind of mentioned, it's like script is a generous word. So when it comes to, getting those types of voiceover jobs, do you try to prepare, or is it just, I'm just going to go in and see what the director has to say?
I mean, we don't have anything to prepare really, at least not for the specific day. It's really, you get there and they're like, today you're gonna be doing frog sounds, or like halfway through the session, they'll be like, and now you'll be crying. And I think when I've talked to other people who aspired, to get into voice acting, I'm always like, honestly, start practicing cold reading. Like, start just out loud reading picture books and on the fly choosing voices and making choices, because I think that's really what it is compared to other types of acting where you get the script and you get to do, break it down and memorize your stuff for tomorrow. So, I mean, outside of like the major plot points and all of that backstory, day to day, I never know what I'm recording that day.
Yeah, like Britt said, it's extremely on the fly, so you just kind of have to be able to take direction immediately. Like if they ask you to sing one day, and you're like, I wish I took lessons, but okay.
I mean, obviously, with this game in particular, which we don't always have for games, we have the source material. We have Final Fantasy VII that came out in 1997, which is obviously a well-loved game for good reason. But I don't know, I know Britt didn't play it. I didn't play it before. Did you play it? No, so none of us actually played through the original game when it came out. And I know for me, I learned a lot of the story beats. I watched a lot of playthroughs of it, but I didn't actually like sit down and play through it myself. And I think, at least for me, that's kind of helped our performance because we can bring a little bit of a fresh perspective to it with the guidance of course, the directors and the writers and the team over at Square Enix. So even though we have that source material as kind of like loose guideposts for us, like they said, it's really just like show up and do your best each day and really rely on that collaborative process.
And without spoiling anything, because we want to be mindful of spoilers and where anyone might be in the playthrough of the game, is there any scene you recorded that stands out to you?
Sorry, we're on a mission to open this water.
These water bottles are hard to open, by the way.
To open these. I was like, can someone stronger than me, like maybe Tifa?
Oh,
Okay.
Wow, that's impressive.
Aerith's strength is not your strong side.
No, let me cast a magic spell on it. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is there any scene that you recorded that stands out to you?
Ah, yes. I would say, if I'm not going to spoil anything, everything in the gold saucer was so fun. And I really mean everything, like from beginning to end, the entire gold saucer, because it's such a fun part of the game, but it also at the exact same time is so deeply emotional, and it's very, there's a lot in all of that section where you really get to the core of what makes this game so special. It's all about the connection to the characters, the connection that they have with each other, while at the same time, the stakes are incredibly high, but also you get to have so much fun doing it. It's not all so serious. And for me, I think that's why Final Fantasy just is such a great series, especially 7. It's a lot like life in that the stakes are very high. It can be very serious, but focus on connecting with the people that you love and have fun as much as you can, and everything's gonna be okay. So I think that's my favorite section.
I would say the ribbits for 4 hours sticks out in my memory. And when I don't know, how do we do this without spoilers? When I had to make a lot of like, also, so for me, it's less, I guess, the emotional stuff, but as a voice actor, again, you have no warning. So I'm like, what do I have to do now? And you have to do like a bunch of takes, and sometimes it is to picture, and so you're just trying to make you're standing there trying to make weird sounds. So ultimately, those are the kind of the trauma that sticks with me.
Can I tell you, when I got to that part in the game, I said, I'm so jealous that I don't get to do the ribbits like Britt got to do. I was so jealous.
I mean, trying to add emotion to that, like, okay, now a happy ribbit. I'm like,
Can you demonstrate?
Yes.
I blacked it out.
For me, honestly, every scene with Yuvia has been such a treat. I have so much fun every single time I go in. That's why they schedule me at nighttime so that I can keep them awake, you know? But I think one of my favorite parts is probably when she's giving sass to the team. Every time she gives sass to the team. I specifically remember with Barrett, when she first joins, oh, is that a spoiler? But whatever. She's just like, one of the lines was like, permission to blow my nose, sir. So I was like, permission to blow my nose, sir. That was super fun.
Now, you all have been involved in other projects, whether it's, like content creation or even on-screen projects. So specifically, when you started getting into voiceover work, is there anything that was surprising to you when you started that maybe you weren't expecting that could be helpful advice that you could share? Stumped.
I mean, we've touched on a lot of it already, so I'm trying to think of something different besides, get good at cold reading and get good at, adjusting on the fly. Obviously, the acting is super important. And anything beyond that, I wouldn't even know what to say.
I mean, getting really good at taking direction, I think,
I was gonna
because
say that, yeah.
I mean, some games that I've done, I actually do get the script ahead of time.
Wow, what a treat.
Yeah, crazy. And I do think when I've done non-player characters, it's also really fun because they're like, add a grunt, who cares? Add a few words if you want. And so I think just being like really ready to play is a good advice, or what I've kind of learned in the VO world especially, because I think like a TV show, there's not as much time to play. They are like, okay, time is money, like get the line right and let's move on. VO work, I think, is really, really collaborative. So I look back on when I was in theater school, and I'm like, that was really great experience, I think, being in any acting class where you're working with scene partners or you're doing improv or all of those kind of skills, being able to work on your feet have really helped me with voiceover, which I didn't think I really knew going into voiceover work. I think they talk so much about like, vocal warm-ups and vocal rest, and all that stuff's important, but not as much from the standpoint of like, you gotta be able to, they say, do it completely opposite in an instant. And oftentimes you'll get to sessions where they're like, you're also playing two other characters that are completely different and with no warning. So in the moment, you have to be able to do like a really low soldier and like a 13-year-old sweet girl, and so they really keep you on your toes, which can be scary, but I think really fun if you go in with the right mentality and you're open to play.
Same. Yeah, I mean, yes, like it really is just being quick on your feet. Like I've done some games prior to recording Final Fantasy, so it is pretty much how that goes, and I agree. Good answers.
Wow.
There was a brief mention of, warm-up routines and vocal rests and stuff. Do you all have a vocal warm-up that you do like without fail, or is it sometimes like, I'll just go?
I've tried to go in before without doing my vocal warm-up, and it doesn't go very well. Just while I'm driving into the studio, I usually sing a Disney song or two, and that kind of helps warm up my highs and my lows and kind of gets me into the right register. So also it's just fun to like drive singing a Disney song. So yeah, that's my warm-up.
Also, you get in the mood for Aerith.
Exactly.
She's like a Disney princess.
She is a little bit.
It's probably a bad habit, but I don't really warm up too much. It's probably why Crook gets mad at me sometimes. But I think what's helpful maybe is like just, because like sometimes I do audiobooks, so I would just get it done before my session. I was like, oh, this is a warm-up and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, like finishing this. But when I don't have that, then I just pray.
Well, if you go in at night too, your voice is already warmed up just using it throughout the day. Whereas I go in the morning and I'm like, good morning. So I need those warm-ups.
Yeah.
I definitely do warm-ups in the car, but I think for Final Fantasy, Tifa's in a pretty close to my normal speaking voice, which is, I'm just lucky about that. But I feel like when I oftentimes the other characters I play in voiceovers are like really low and really tough, and there's a ton of combat, so there's a lot of screaming and like death, and then I always leave and I'm like, I can't speak. So those projects, I'm like really trying to warm up because I know it's gonna be bad regardless. But yeah, Tifa luckily is like a really comfortable place for me for the most part, unless we're doing a ton of efforts.
I liked your preteen Tifa.
Oh, thank you.
It was so cute. I was like, is that
so
Britt?
You know, I think Tifa's also in a higher place than me, but everyone's like, I love her low voice. I'm like, oh.
It's like I wasn't trying to go there,
I was
but
like, oh, I
thanks.
was trying to go high, actually.
So obviously we've been talking about Final Fantasy, but as I kind of mentioned earlier, you've all been involved in a few projects. And so for my next question, I would love to know, like, is there a project that you have worked on that you absolutely loved? It can be anything. It could be on screen, it could be an audiobook that you just absolutely loved that maybe you don't get to talk about as much that you would like to share.
That's just, it's like picking your children, like, you don't know. I guess maybe one is, so I'm in Persona 3 Reload. Play the DLC, it comes out in 10 days. So I really think that project is special, particularly because all of my castmates are my friends. So, and you don't really get that often. I think we were super lucky with Final Fantasy to get people who just gel well together. Like, we get along really well together. But it's not, always the case with all other projects. We don't even get to see our castmates. We don't get to do anything with them. We don't even know them. But along with Final Fantasy, Persona is a very special project to me because these are all my close friends and good friends, and we all support each other, and I just love that environment, which it just doesn't really happen too often. So yeah, it was special to me.
I worked on Jedi Survivor, and I got to do the motion capture, which was so much fun. I wish we got to do it for Final Fantasy, but it was, I think, coming from the theater world, because everything's already lit and there's cameras all over, you really get to run a scene from start to finish. Versus when you do TV, it's like, all right, we're just gonna do the few lines in this setup and then stop and wait 2 hours for them to switch it, and it feels very stop and go. So it was such a treat as like the theater girl in me to get to block a whole battle and run it start to finish. It felt very theatrical, and the child in me was like, yeah, I can't believe this is my job. And so that was really fun. And also, like what Suzie said, it's really nice when you actually get to be with the other actors, because voiceover work can be pretty isolating otherwise.
I think one of my favorite projects that I've worked on recently is I got to be in a Christmas movie recently. And that one's a lot of fun because I play kind of like the snarky small town girl who like makes fun of the girl who comes home to her hometown to like learn the meaning of Christmas, and I kind of just get to like be snarky, the blonde one, if you will. And I think that's fun because with Aerith, she's very sassy and snarky, of course, but she's very much a heroine. She's very like, she's lovely and she's kind and she's sweet, but to be able to play like a villain is really fun for me. So it's just a totally opposite thing. So I just had a lot of fun with that.
I want to see evil Aerith.
Or do you? Can you handle it?
So I have one more question that I would like to ask, and then I'm going to open it up to fan questions. There are microphones on either side. If anyone has a question that they would like to come up and ask, feel free to do that. Please be careful as you make your way up to the microphones. So feel free to start lining up when you would prefer. But my final question for all of you is there anything that you're working on personal or professional, that you are allowed to talk about, that you would like to share?
Well, I mentioned earlier, I'm a streamer and a content creator. I'm currently playing through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right now, and I can easily talk about that because that's not NDA'd. So if you would like to watch me stream, you're welcome to check out my channel. It's at The Strange Rebel on Twitch or Strange Rebel Gaming on YouTube. Woo! We're in the gold saucer right now, so now's a really good time to tune in.
I can't talk about anything. But I post a lot about dogs that need adoption. So if you want some depressing stuff, check me out.
We could always look at a dog picture.
Well, I'm kind of a workaholic, so everything is NDA right now. However, I look forward to Game of the Year.
Ooh, the Game
For this,
Awards. We'll all be watching.
Like, maybe this one, I don't know. But I do have a request for all you guys, actually, because today is actually John Eric Bentley's birthday, Barrett Wallace. So I want to send this to him on the count of 3. Can you say happy birthday, John? Is that okay? Yeah, all right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, John! Thank you.
He's gonna die.
Yes, he's gonna be so happy. You're gonna make Barrett cry.
Hello.
Hi, my name's Ian, and first of all, thank you guys for showing up. This is fantastic, having all you guys together doing this panel. My one question is, I know you guys said you didn't play the Final Fantasy VII game before you started the work, but there's been a history, I don't remember their names, but the previous voice actors for your characters, did you ever talk with them or use their material for reference before jumping into Remake and for Suzie Integrate? Did you guys use that material, or did you interact with them and sort of, bounce ideas off of those previous actors?
We've never gotten the chance to meet at least the previous English voice actors, right? There definitely hasn't been any organized interaction, but I know at least for my audition, I listened to all of her previous voices and took inspiration from all of them. And then of course, as Suzie mentioned earlier, we have all of the Japanese reference from the Japanese voice actors in our voice and in our ears at all times. So we're constantly referencing Maya Sakamoto for Aerith. And I know you had the awesome opportunity to meet.
Yes, a few weeks ago, we were all together at Otakon, and I got to meet the Japanese voice actors for Yuffie in person for the first time, Yumi Kakazu-san, and
She's wonderful.
She's so sweet and wonderful and everything that you imagine real life Yuffie to be. So it was such a treat to be able to interact with her, and I admire her so much, and I hope we all get to meet our counterparts.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. One day. I hope.
Same as Brie. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's my answer too. Yeah. But I wish. I can't wait. One day
you.
we'll all merge.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
And over here.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Alex, also an actor too. I was just super curious because whenever I'm gaming and chilling and stuff, and whenever you're in those battles and you have those, you do a move and it's like go this
Battle
or,
cry.
Yeah, there you go. Do you get to come up with any of those yourself, or do they give you some and you gotta grunt or ow, stuff like that, or how's that experience?
Often at the end of the game for us, at least for me, I would say, are a lot of the effort sounds, and it can get tedious where you get in your head where they're like, how many different grunts can I do? But our director is also an actor, so he has helped me a lot of times in terms of okay, try a closed mouth, instead of but I've done full sessions at the end of the game of
multiple
just
sessions.
efforts and just climbing and then jumping and then a big jump and then a medium jump and then small jump. And
That's so
at a certain point, you're like, this feels silly. This is my life.
Especially when you have to do 6 times in a row. He's like, all right, give me 6 of this. And it's like, like, you kind of have to remember, what sound did I not do before? So it's a lot to, like, remember. And he's like, you did the same thing. I was like, well, you chose that one, so that's your fault.
Yeah, I have a problem where I'll just try to go through all the vowel sounds as a hack. I'll be like, ha, he, who, ha. It doesn't work. Don't do that.
Does Aerith say he when she does?
It's really hard to be very unique 8 different times.
appreciate it. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, hello. My name's Leah. I am a preschool teacher, and my families have been begging me for a while now to get into voice acting because I read to the children every day. So as I've been researching and auditioning and seeing out places, demo tapes, they're like, great, we love your voice. When are you moving to LA? And I'm like, never, I have school tomorrow. So my question is, do you know of any other voice actors that are doing it from home, not just in California? And what does that setup look like? Or is California kind of the place you need to be successful at this?
I think there's plenty of voice actors all over the world, especially since the pandemic happened. A lot of people had to resort to remote recording. So, you know, some people had to convert their whole closets into like a sort of deadened space to record in, and they got like a microphone to record. There's a lot of things are just online these days. I will say the big projects might be in LA, things that require mocap, like for you to actually be in person. Yes, obviously. But, you know, I also know people who fly in to do that, just like with filming. But, you know, yeah, there's plenty of opportunities outside. It just might not be, like Final Fantasy, for example, might not be outsourced to remote areas, at least for the main cast.
There's a lot of remote recording, though. I feel like if you get a good setup going and Source Connect, then people will be happy to not pay for studio time.
And there's such a variety of different voiceover work. There's not just video games. There's also commercials. There's industrials, like recording the voice on voice messages for offices, and then audiobooks. Like all of that stuff can be done remote, and there is lots and lots of opportunities. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're a preschool teacher who reads, like, audiobooks would be great for you because you're literally at home, sitting at home, because I do that for audiobooks. I just sit at home or stand at home and read for hours and hours, and that's,
Yeah, and
remote
that's kind of
work.
what I did for my demo tapes and
Yeah.
stuff, is I record at home, but then they want professional in studios. I'm like,
I think that's
got
just
school, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think that's
there-
just
maybe
part of
summer
it.
break. Yeah.
Is that you're going to be told no a million times, and that's just part of it. There's going to be people who, for any various reason, you're just not the right project for, and that's just part of it. Don't let it get you down, and keep trying.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Steven. I did come a little bit late, so I'm really hoping this question wasn't answered already, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. My sort of COVID project was doing a lot of like voice acting classes online and sort of trying to get myself into the industry for a little while there, but I had a really hard time. A lot of the stuff that wasn't taught was what to put into a demo tape, and I'm sort of curious if you have any tips about what is the best thing to put into that, if there's anything that people miss, or what's been very successful for you, perhaps.
I don't have a demo reel. I should, but I know that there's different types as well. So there's character voices, and then there's commercial demos, and both of those are very different. Maybe Suzie can talk more about it.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with someone who made my demo, so they were really guiding me on what to do. They had the script for me. But I would say, whether you're doing a character or commercial reel, like, it's really about showcasing your range and what you can do, like your range of acting. Can you do sad emotional scenes? Can you do like battle barks? Things like that. Just putting in a variety to showcase your abilities, and that's really, it's like your calling card, so.
Yeah, it was same. Just as much range as you possibly can fit in the, in the time.
And usually like your own stuff, or would it be like from like other scripts, or would it be original?
I think it can be both. It really
be both.
depends. Yeah. Some professional places, they will prepare material for you to perform. I kind of like that because then it really showcases like your on-the-fly ability. So if you're able to be cast off your demo, that means you are actually capable of doing what you did in your demo.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Johnson. So right now I'm in my master's program to become a high school theater teacher. And I was wondering, thank you. And I was wondering if there was any past mentors, teachers, or directors where like you heard like a piece of like a note or like a piece of advice that really has stuck with you throughout your entire career.
I can think of one immediately. I had my high school drama teacher write at the beginning of every semester, he would write on the whiteboard that acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. And that has held true through every piece of acting that I've ever done. That's a really great quote for inspiration.
I had my high school acting teacher and a college professor both pull me aside at different points when I was always like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I double majored in college, but even going to college, I thought, I'll just get a BA in theater, who cares? That's enough for me. And both of them had pulled me aside and were like, you will not, like, you should pursue this. You're good enough. You might not see it, but I see it. And I'm so grateful. I've thanked both of them in terms of like, why are you studying communications? Like, go do acting. Because I do think it's like a really scary industry, and everyone tells you, how hard it is. And so I think teachers in particular, those two in my life, I'm like, I don't know if I would be here today if it wasn't for those two teachers that took the time to pull a student aside and say, follow this, So I think, I'm so grateful. My high school theater teacher was the one that helped me get engaged on our stage. So I'm so grateful to him. So.
I'm kind of similar with Britt because like encouragement is so helpful from a mentor figure. If someone recognizes that talent and skill in you, like to be able to acknowledge that in a student is so valuable because this is just it can be a very crushing industry. And I didn't have prior acting background whatsoever. Like I didn't study it. So when I first started, I remember I was kind of thrown in a session with a lot of like veteran actors, and I was just starting. It was my very first year, and everyone had years of experience, and they started like improving on the script, and I didn't have any of those skills. And I was doing this character that was completely out of my range, so I felt very down on myself and doubtful of my ability after that session. But I know like a couple months later, after I did a session for a cartoon with another director, I was kind of confiding in him, telling him that like, oh, I don't know if I'm really cut out for cartoons or anything like that because of this experience that I had. And he told me, he was like, don't let anyone make you think that you're any less than them. Like, you are good at what you do and you need to believe in yourself. So just those words like really helped me keep going, even when you feel like you're lacking. So I think words of encouragement are super helpful.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Arthur. I'm actually a voiceover director for games. It's Suzie. Hi.
Hi, have we worked together?
Yes, we have. There's two ways you can look at this question. What is something that you wish voiceover directors did more or something that voiceover directors do that bring great joy or inspiration?
The directors did more.
Yeah, like you mentioned scripts ahead of time,
Yeah.
more audio or visual reference. What is something that like you really wish that you would see more of from the people who are employing you? Yeah.
Well, I really love directors who are collaborative with me. There's been plenty of times when, of course, like directors have a very specific vision, and you need that for guidance of how the project is going to go. But what I really like, especially, like with Final Fantasy and stuff, our directors were open to our ideas and would never say no to us being like, can I get another take on that? Or like, can I just try this a little differently? For us to just talk to each other and have a conversation about it. And also, what project did we work on together that's not under NDA?
Yeah, you're my Lois.
Lois? No way!
Yeah.
I'm
She's Lois Lane in a DC project.
Yeah, in the Superman. It's so nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Well, we'll chat after. Okay, anyways.
I think this sounds so needy as an actor, but I really love when directors are encouraging. I think especially in voiceover projects where you're coming in and I didn't know I had to voice the two other characters and one of them is like an ogre and I'm just trying out voices in front of them. It feels so vulnerable and you feel so like, oh God, they probably hated that and I sound so stupid. So the directors that are really encouraging, kind of what we were just talking about with the teachers that reach out and kind of help you, I love that. And I think the collaboration, ones who are, even if you don't love it as a director, I think like when we're able to kind of find the voice together, but I don't feel so silly because it can be just really scary as an actor when you didn't get any prep time privately to try out these new voices. So yeah, and I think not giving line readings is awesome.
Yes, definitely. I would say that at least for a project like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where we're working on so many sessions, it's really nice to have a director who's just kind of nice to be around and just nice to spend a lot of time with. Some projects are not long scale projects where you have to see them every day for months on end. But I think if it is a really big project, it's really nice that it's just a nice person to be around, almost like an office culture almost. You just kind of want to like not dread going into work,
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Landon, and my question is, what were your personal favorite parts of Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth to play through after recording all of it?
Hey, Britt, what was your favorite part to play?
In the many hours that I've put into Rebirth, she's joking because I can't play these games. I don't know how to do the camera thing with the other joystick. I'm just like always looking at the ceiling, and I'm on easy, so that's a me problem. So I like watching the YouTube with all of you guys.
Oh, is it like how we feel about the game after we played?
Like,
or?
yeah,
your
when we're
favorite
playing
part?
it, what's our favorite part to play?
Oh, so I love like combat systems in video games. So every aspect of that, it's just hearing everyone's battle cries. And, like I feel so badass right now. So especially when you feel like makes her doppelganger, it's like so good. But yeah, also watching the gold saucer dates. They're like super cute, and I was fangirling the whole time watching them. So those are my favorite parts.
I would have to say, and maybe because they're just very fresh in my mind, but all the mini games in Rebirth are just so different and unique and fun, but also like challenging and frustrating, but that makes them very memorable. I don't think I've ever played a game where it's like so serious and such like deep content with the connection to the characters and the history and the lore and the mystery, but then you get to like be a frog or you get to like be a space ranger ship thing, or play piano and like have to get a perfect score, but then you miss the very last note. I think Rebirth is really special because it's like a huge game and you can see how much love was put into every single part of it, including the combat and the synergy, which almost feels like its own game in and of itself. So for Rebirth, I think it's such a joy to play. Like it's really one of my favorite games, even if I wasn't in it. Like truly, it's just like really, really fun. And I know a lot of y'all feel the same way here. So yeah, the mini games I think just make it feel very, very, very expansive and feel like it's like a very full game.
Is it your game of the year?
Even if I wasn't in it, I'd have to say yes. Like it's really good. It's so nice to be a part of a project where the game is genuinely good. Like, it's just really nice. Like we can say good things about it, and we're being honest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Afiq. It's good to see you all again. I have a question and also a VO-related resource I'd like to suggest to the audience, if that's okay with the host. But to the question first.
I'm sorry, what was the first part?
For my question on voiceover demo reels, I hear so many people say, only do it when you're ready because of the costs involved and the time sink involved. But rarely do I hear people say, explain how to tell when you're ready. So with that said, what do you personally consider when, to see whether you are ready? Like, do you talk to certain folks, or do you recognize that you reach a certain skill level in VO before diving into it?
That's a really good question, like knowing whether you're ready or not. I don't think you'll personally ever be able to know. That's why I think definitely reaching out to a professional ear, somebody who's done this for a long time. Like I worked with a director to be able to be like, yes, you are, this is shippable. People will not, blacklist you for sending this in. So yeah, I would definitely say get a professional opinion. Yeah, for me.
I don't know if you'll ever be ready either. I feel like I don't even really have a professional demo, but I booked like a really big game quickly, and I wouldn't say I was necessarily ready. And I don't know if you ever will be until you're thrown into the water, and that's how you learn on your feet. So I would prepare as much as you can, but I wouldn't wait 5-10 years. You gotta jump in at a certain point, and you'll learn once you start booking jobs.
That's like everything with life. It's like you never know when you'll be ready. You have to jump in and start doing it, and that's when you get the momentum. And
That's how you learn the most.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel your question, because when I came to LA, like I didn't have like a ton of parental support. Like I literally had to make all of my money at a restaurant job, and then I poured all of that money into paying my bills and acting stuff. And it's very expensive to get started. There's a lot of things that you have to pay for up front in order to even be considered to book work. It's a very tough thing. So what I would do is I would audit a bunch of classes if they'll let you, and take as many classes as you can afford. And those classes will give you the knowledge of your peers and how they're doing. It will also give you the knowledge of where you're at. Do you really genuinely enjoy this enough to pursue it and put your money behind it? Take as many classes as you can, and I think those classes will help you decide, okay, this is something I can really truly invest in. This is something that's important to me. And while you're in the classes, you'll develop material that you can use in your demo. So you'll have different character voices. You'll have to know your range, things like that. So I really recommend as many classes as possible.
Gotcha. Thank you for the advice.
Yeah.
And to my second point, I just
I'm
wanted
sorry, we just have one question per person. We have
Sorry.
such a long
We
line.
do have a long line.
Understood.
Minutes, so
I know.
I would
worries.
have.
But
like,
thank
a
you so much.
speed
Thank
round
you.
or something.
Do you want to do we want to try and do a speed round?
Yeah, if we can, because we have 5 minutes and there's so many of you,
Yes,
and
can we
want to
speed
get
run
you.
some questions?
Yeah, let's give it a
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Dion. This question is mainly for Suzie, but if Britt and Bree are able to answer it, that would be nice. I heard, I don't know if this is true, that you've done voice work in Chinese and Cantonese. I was wondering, one, do you still do that? And two, how is the, I guess, voice acting scene, like maybe expectations, processes, et cetera, different across, I don't know, dubbing languages, if at all?
Well, I haven't done it like a full character in like either language. I've definitely been cast in roles where they ask me to speak like phrases or words because like my pronunciation is good. So yeah, I've definitely done that, and there have been times where the director doesn't speak the language, but I'm like, okay, it's okay, I got this. So I can kind of like take the reins over there. Yeah, I don't really know. In terms of that, a lot of times the clients, they'll speak the language, and the director won't really know what's going on, but I can already get a sense of what they want because I understand that. So,
Okay, cool, thanks.
thank you.
Hi, my name is Carter, and I would like to know, how do you get started with voice acting? Where do you look for?
Online, there's a lot of websites. If you just like, I would honestly type into Google like voice acting breakdowns, and there are a lot of different sites. Some of them are paid, like Actors Access and casting networks, and some of them aren't. But there are a lot of places who will have voice acting breakdowns for smaller projects like industrials or commercials, or non-union, like content creators are often looking for voice actors as well. So that would be a great place to start, is online breakdowns, and then just start submitting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lydia. I'm a game developer from a tiny studio, and we are thinking on the possibility of having voiceover. So in the same line as the question before answered, what would you like to say to the game developers to make your work easier for voiceover? Like an example, would you love to have the full script ahead or something like that?
I love you guys. It is because of you guys that we are able to do what we do. I love games. I adore them. I grew up playing them. So just you doing what you do, I think voiceover is, just a small segment of games, obviously. I don't know. I don't have advice because
I would say the more context, the better. But I do think, I agree with Suzie 100%. But video games are always so top secret. So if there ever is a time where you can let the actors have some information, background, prior to getting to the session, because sometimes we get to the session and the director's like, okay, go. And I'm more of a visual learner, so sometimes, if ever possible, I would love if we could get some backstory prior to walking into a project. But I know that video games are always code secret.
Or even when things are animated after you get the voice, like making sure the animation does match the energy of the voice. It's like if I'm shouting and then the character's kind of like flat-faced, it's a little bit dissonant.
You'll re-record.
Will they? Thank you, though.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We love you back. You give life to the characters we most love, so your work is very important, and I hope the strike goes well and everything gets better.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So unfortunately, this will need to be our last question due to time. For anyone that was still in line, though, whoever has a question that they want to ask, you do have signings, correct?
Yes,
so you can come up to the signings and then ask your question there. But for this panel, this will need to be our last question.
Yes, for the rest of the day.
We good?
Yeah.
Hello, I'm William, and I was wondering if your characters were to show up in Kingdom Hearts, would you want to voice them?
I think they
Who would say no to that? No, I mean, we've talked about what a tough industry this is. Like, we like to work. I don't think we would ever say no to a job.
That would be a dream as a Disney adult. That would.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll be here the rest of the day, today and tomorrow. So check the schedules and then come to our tables and see us. Say hi.
On the 3rd floor. We'd love to see you.
Thank you so much.